Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. Welcome to Quality Shot. It is Roland Garros. Roland Garros. I just can't believe what's just happened. It's Roland Garros 2022 ATP draw preview and predictions. We're going to go over it. Of course, the men's side. We're going to be talking about Novak Djokovic. We're going to be talking about Rafael Nadal. We're going to be talking about Carlos Alcaraz and how they're all in the same half. Yep, that's exactly what I said. The same half of the draw. Top half is stacked. And then we're also going to be talking about Tsitsipas, of course, Zverev, all the rest. Medvedev makes his return as well to the clay after playing in Geneva, losing there, but he'll be playing at Roland Garros here, Rublev and others. We're also going to talk about each round as well. So I'm going to do my predictions as I have been doing in previous tournaments because a lot of you seem to like that. So we're going to go through each match, give my picks, some reasoning depending on how much time we've got. Obviously, I'm not going to do it for every single one in depth. And then we'll go through it and then eventually get to my predicted winner. Before we get into that, though, please remember to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Really does help us out. And do also make sure you leave a rating or review if you're a podcast listener. If you do hear some noise in the background, that'll be my little one. So apologies as him laughing now. But let's get into it. I can't believe what we have witnessed in the draw. Projected quarterfinals we'll get into, but just spoiler alert, Djokovic Nadal quarterfinal is most likely going to happen unless one of them loses early on, which again could happen if Nadal's not fully fit maybe, or Djokovic somehow gets upset. But that's what we're tracking towards, which is a real shame actually in a way, because that is at least a semi-final, if not the final. And I think that'll be disappointing considering also Alcaraz is in that half as well. So we're going to get into it then. So we've got Novak Djokovic against Nishioka. That's a pretty standard first round match for the Serb. I think he should come through that. And then we've got Malkan versus Korea. So Malkan, of course, is being coached by Marian Vida, Djokovic's old coach. So whoever wins that will then play Djokovic. I'm going to go for Malkan over Korea, and I think it will be a battle of the, apprentice versus the master, in the sense that obviously Malkan, I think, is going to be, in Vida's estimation anyway, someone who he thinks is going to go big. Badin versus Christopher O'Connell. I'm going to go Badin. I think lefty-in. He's actually been pretty quiet this season from what I've seen, but I'm hoping he can have a little bit of a run. I think he likes the slower surfaces. Cuevas versus Brooksby. I think Brooksby against Cuevas. I think Brooksby is going to have too much for him. I think Cuevas is a clay courter. He does like the clay, the red dirt, but I think Brooksby generally is going to be way too strong. Just form-wise, ability-wise, he should have a bit too much. It could go to 4, could go to 5, but Brooksby should have enough. Dimitrov versus Giron. That's a really tough first-round match, I think. Giron's been in some decent form, so Dimitrov will have his work cut out, you feel, but he should have too much skill-wise, ability-wise. He looked really good in Monte Carlo, especially, and also had some decent results in the clay court swing. I think the one-handed backhand is holding up quite nicely on the clay. He's got more time on the swing, and he just looks more comfortable with the dry backhand, whereas on the hard courts and the grass courts, he just slices that backhand a lot more. He's more comfortable in the dry backhand. It actually looks pretty good as well at times, and I'm not going to say it because he doesn't like it, but baby fed at times, there are definitely resemblances, but we'll go Dimitrov. Taberner versus Coric, we'll go Taberner. Should we go Taberner? Yeah, let's go Taberner. Outmire Manar, I'm going to go Manar. He's always exciting, isn't he? Always in really, really exciting matches. Jan Manar. Schwartzman versus qualifier, so we're not sure who that's going to be, but we'll go Schwartzman. Felix versus qualifier, we'll go Felix. Azan Karatsev as well versus the qualifier. And that's interesting. Alejandro Tabilo's he's gone to the draw. Okay. We'll go him, but it's difficult, right? Because if you don't know the qualifiers, you could have a really good qualifier coming through. Holger Rune has been a qualifier in the past, so that's an interesting one. And then we've got Apelka versus Karjanovic. I'm going to go with Apelka. I know he hasn't played the best on clay since that final and win in Houston, but I just feel like he'll do well enough in the first round or so, and we'll see. Van der Zandschop's had a pretty good clay court season as well. Botic, I think he'll be good. And then Fognini versus Popperin. I think I'm going to go Fognini in that one. Wawrinka versus Mute. I'm going to go... That's a tough one, by the way. I think Mute is really exciting as a wild card. Wawrinka might just be able to old man him a little bit. But he's obviously on the comeback trail, so it's going to be really interesting to see how he gets on. So let's go with Wawrinka. Then Nadal versus Thompson. I'm going to go Nadal, but but nothing. He's going to get through, I think, against Thompson. Zverev's got to qualify. He'll get through. And then Bays versus Lajovic. I'm going to go with Bays. No, I'll go Lajovic. I think Lajovic has been in some decent form. I think he'll be a bit too much ability-wise. And Nakashima versus Madrak. I'm going to go Nakashima. Grykspor, Daniil Medvedev. That's a really good first-round match. Grykspor's been in some really good form this year. And then Daniil Medvedev as well has been in some pretty damn good form. Just generally, I think... of course, making the final of Monte Carlo. I know he hasn't done much since, which is why he's dropped out of my ATP power rankings. The final ones for those, by the way, will be out probably not today, but tomorrow, as we've got the WTA draw preview and then the live discussion with Gil Gross and Roland Garros. So I'll probably go Darius Fokina, but not by much. I mean, it's a tough one. Isner over Haley's. I think I'll go for that. And then we've got Taro Daniel versus Gregor Barrera. So I think I'm going to go with Taro Daniel, actually. He's a good player, He's a good player. I like him. Michael Moe, I'm going to go for him. No qualifier. We don't know who they're going to be. We've got Cam Norrie versus Manuel Guanard. Norrie for me. I mean, he's been in really good form. And he's a good clay courter. He's just a good all-round player, to be fair. I mean, he is the 10th seed. So I'll go with him. Kudla. Now, team's got Hugo Delian. You know what? Can he finally win a first round match? I'm not even sure, that. He's just been in some really poor form. I think maybe the fact that it's going to be Roland Garros and he's had some great memories there, you would imagine he's going to get through it. It'll be interesting to see what court he's on as well, by the way, because, of course, he is a two-time finalist there. Will they give him a decent court? I'm not sure if they will, to be fair. Khachanov versus qualifier. Khachanov, obviously. Korda versus Millman. That's a good one. I think if it was on a hard court, I'd say, this might be quite tricky for Korda. I think Korda, though, is a lot more comfortable on the clay than John Millman. And I think keep an eye out for him. He might be a bit of a dark horse. I know he beat Alcaraz when Alcaraz maybe wasn't playing at his best because he got to the Miami final and then Monte Carlo, he beat him. But Korda, he's a good player, man. He just needs to piece it together mentally, I think, more than anything. Lloyd Harris and Richard Gasquet. What a first round that is. Gasquet, I think the experience on clay for me. Kokkinakis versus Ramos Vinolas. He had a good run, Tanasi Kokkinakis, in Geneva. If I'm not mistaken, he made quarterfinals and semifinals there. So, yeah, not a bad run. And although Ramos Vinolas is not an easy first round match at all, but I'm going to go with the informed player. Alcaraz over qualifier. Ruud versus Song. Oh, man. Tsonga has been done dirty here. That is, that is a terrible first. I mean, Ruud to win for me. Tsonga's swan song, unfortunately, I think is going to end in the first round. Rusevori versus Umber. What a match. What the heck? What? Both of these players are going to be like, what's happened? Umber, to be fair, he struggled, man, so much this year. It's been really disappointing, actually. He's such a good player, is Ugo Umber, but he struggled so much. It's just disappointing. It's disappointing to see someone like that at his... I know, it's really, really disappointing to see someone so young with so much talent just now start to stall a little bit. I'm not quite sure why. I think it's a little bit to do with confidence more than anything. But I'm actually going to go with him. I'm going to go with him and go with his talent. Sousa versus the qualifier. Sousa. Gojawik versus Sonego. TFO Bonzi. Bonzi's a good player, man, on the clay. So against Team, he beat Team in a final set tiebreaker in Estoril, but I mean, look, it's a different tournament and different player. Team wasn't in great form. He isn't in great form, but Bonzi's a dangerous player. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes to 4 or 5 sets. I'm going to go TFO, though, because he's had some good results on the clay as well. Made deep run in Estoril as well. Made the final, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Lehecka versus Goffin. I'm going to go with Goffin. He's been playing quite well. Really good match against Nadal as well recently. Kecinato versus Andahar. Oh, good one as well. I'm going to go Kecinato. Her catch over the qualifier. Oh my. Okay, this is it. This is the one. This is the pick of the first round matches. Denis Shapovalov versus Holger Rune. Holger Rune is a really talented youngster. If you don't know much about him, you should, because he's a really, really good player from Denmark, if I'm not mistaken, unless I've got my flags completely mixed up. But yeah, Rune versus Shapovalov. Oh, do I go for the upset here? I could definitely see it happening. He's got a lot of intensity in his game room, but so is Shapovalov. There's going to be a lot of winners, probably a lot of unforced errors as well. But can Rune handle the Chapo serve, I think, is the big thing. Oh, I think a lot depends on the time of day and also just how both play. They can be quite erratic at times. Rune's in good form though. I'm going to go the Holger Rune. I'm going to do it. Martinez versus Laxinen. I'm going to go Laxinen. Qualifiers, we don't know. Just pick anyone. Hugo Gaston versus Alex de Minaur. That's a really good one as well. Gaston obviously playing at home. He loves it. We saw him in the Paris Masters last year make a deep run there. He'll have the crowd behind him. Alex de Minaur's been playing some really good tennis, so I'm going to go with him. But it's a tough one. Dan Evans versus Cerundolo. Oh my... What? That is such a hard first round match for Dan Evans. Cerundolo. Didn't he make the semifinals in Monte Carlo, no? No. Semifinals in Miami. Sorry, even. Lost to Casper Ruud. That's a tough match. I'm not sure, actually. I'm going to go Cerundolo. I know Dan Evans has been pretty good on the clay. I'm feeling Cerundolo, man. He's a really talented youngster. I think it's so tough to... Oh, my gosh. And as we get... What am I watching? This is hard, man. Okay. We're going to get into this. Michael Eimer versus Duckworth. Okay. I'm going to go Eimer. Lucas Pouille's got qualified. What? Tsitsipas has Musetti in the first round. That is such a hot... I'm not even joking. I think that's probably the hardest first round you could get at Roland Garros. Like, who's not a seed? Musetti. What? Forget Dominic Musetti. What? Tsitsipas is going to be looking at that thinking, what the hell? Because the bottom half of the draw is so open, right? Because we've got no Nadal, no Alcaraz, no Djokovic all in the top half. Fine. So that's obviously as you go further in. But Tsitsipas, this is a really hard first round. If he gets passes, it gets a lot easier from what I know. But that is tough. That is really, really tough. And I wouldn't even be surprised if Musetti beats him. And then it opens up so much the bottom half if he beats him as well. Musetti's a really good clay court player. That's not going to straight sets, in my opinion. That's going to 4 or 5. That's tough. I think you've got to go with Tsitsipas, right? I mean, the form, you back him against anyone apart from those 3 in the top half, for me. But Musetti, first round as well. Oh, it's so tough. Do I go for something brave? I'm not going to. I'm going to go Tsitsipas. Let me know your thoughts, though. That's a tough first round. Rublev versus Quad. I'm going to go Rublev, Manarino, even versus Del Bonis. That's an interesting one. Go Manarino. Benoit Paire versus Ivashka. Paire. I mean, the French players are going to have a boost, no doubt, from the crowd. So you've got to add a 5% chance of them winning, I think. Christian Garin versus Tommy Paul. Tough one. I'm actually going to Tommy Paul. Garin's a good clay quarter, though. Just don't really rate him that much, I'll be honest with you. No offense, Garin. But Tommy Paul's a good player. Had match points against Sinner. He's not the most natural clay quarter, but he's got a good enough game, I feel, to be competitive. So we'll see. Basilashvili versus Maxime Cressy. Oh, please. This is such a good match because Maxime Cressy is going to be charging to the net. Basilashvili is just going to be trying to win his left, right, center. It's going to be over in about an hour. I'm telling you now. I'm going to go Basilashvili just. Mackenzie McDonald to beat the qualifier. Carabes Baena versus Otter. I'm going to go Carabes Baena. Sinner over qualifier. Oh, PCB versus Gilles Simon. That's not an easy first round either. I want to go PCB. Jiri Vesely, of course, causing the upset against Djokovic earlier in the year. Hasn't done much since. And Steve Johnson. I'm going to go Vesely. Fuchsovic over qualifier. Balaz versus Cilic. Kecmanovic has been in really good form over Martin Etcheverry. Ridanek versus Bublik. It's a tough one, you know. Bublik hates the clay. He really does. I'm going to go Bublik, though. Barankis versus Zher. I'm going to go Zher. And Bagnis versus Medvedev. Medvedev. Right, okay, let's get through this because we've been a bit slow, haven't we? Djokovic over Molcan. Brooksby over Badin. Dimitrov over Taberner. Schwartzman over Manar. Well, that's a tough one. That's going to be a really good match, by the way. Schwartzman Manar, if we get that. Some of these matchups, because they're not with, I guess, as many well-known names as you're used to seeing. I mean, Schwartzman is pretty well-known, I think, a household name, kind of. Manar isn't really. But when you match them up together, you'll be quite surprised. They are very, very, very good matchups, and that is definitely one of them for me. Felix Auger-Aliassime versus Karatsev. I'm going to go Felix. I think he's actually a dark horse in this tournament. I think he played some phenomenal tennis against Djokovic. I know he lost in straight sets in Rome, but he served incredibly well. And not just that, he managed to keep up with Djokovic for the most part. And it was literally a question of a couple of points. I think he lost, 7-5, 7-6? Yeah. I'm telling you, he's a good player. I know he struggled on the clay. I don't think he's won a single match at Roland Garros in the past. I think he'll win a few this year. And Karatsev doesn't really like the clay at all, personally, from what I've seen. Prefers the hard courts. I know he had some good wins. Obviously beat Djokovic in Belgrade last year, but he looks a shadow of the player that beat Djokovic last year in Belgrade, to be fair, and made that run at the Australian Open. Tabilo versus Opelka. We're in Opelka. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Van der Zandschulp versus Fognini. That is so tough. Who do I pick for that? 5 sets are written all over it. I don't know. I'm not sure. Do I go with the experience in Fognini or the upcoming kind of player in Van der Zandschulp who's been in good form? He's not young, by the way. I think he's 30, but yeah. To be honest with you, it really depends on how Fognini is feeling on the day. If he feels really, really, I don't know, if he doesn't feel particularly good, then he'll lose it, and then he'll lose the match as well. I'm going to go Fognini. Nadal over Wawrinka, just because Wawrinka is a shadow of the player that he was. But maybe he rekindles. I don't know. We'll see. He's got he's got a week off, I guess, because he didn't get very far in Rome. So we'll see how he gets on as well. A week and a bit anyway. Zverev over Lajovic. Nakashima over Daric Fokina. Daric Fokina for me. Isner Taradaniel. I believe in you. Fritz Mo, I'm going to go Fritz. He's been in good form. I think he'll be good. He'll come good. Cam Norrie versus Kudla, Cam Norrie. Dominic Thiem Khachanov. Korda Gasquet. Oh, that's a great match. See, these are some... I tell you what, there are some incredible matches going on here. I'm going to go Korda, you know. Maybe a bit of recency bias there. Kokkinakis versus Alcaraz. Alcaraz, that's a really tough match, though, for Alcaraz if Kokkinakis gets through, even though. Ruud Umber. I'm going to go Ruud. Umber, not sold on him at the moment. I'm going to go Sonego over Souza. TFO over Goffin. Hakacha over Caccianato. Rune over Laxonen. And Dimino over the qualifier. And Cerundolo over Eimer. Tsitsipas over Pui. See a much easier second round match. Rublev over Manarino. Benoit Paire over Tommy Paul. Basilashvili over McDonald. Carballes Baena versus Sinner. Sinner for me. PCB over Vesely. Fuchsovic over Cilic, I'm going to go for. Bit of an upset there. Kecmanovic over Bublik. Kecmanovic, man. All day. I'm going to go Medvedev over Zher, but that's a tough match, by the way, for Medvedev. He hasn't played much. Okay, here we go. Djokovic over Brooksby for me. Dimitrov Schwartzman. Oh, that's a great match. Dimitrov actually bageled Schwartzman, if I'm not mistaken, in one of the clay court tournaments, beat him quite comprehensively. But Schwartzman loves it at Roland Garros, and it's a slightly different surface. I think the safe option is Schwartzman. I'm actually going to go Dimitrov. Why not? Go left field. Felix over Apelka for me. Fognini, Nadal. Nadal should get through. Zverev over David Fokina. Not an easy one for Zverev. He might struggle there, Zverev, though. He needs to be careful. Taro Daniel versus Taylor Fritz. Taylor Fritz for me. Cam Norrie over Khachanov. Korda versus Alcaraz. A replay on the Monte Carlo Masters. That's going to be a tough match for Alcaraz because he knows that he can lose to Korda. But I'm going to go Alcaraz. Ruud Sonego is a great one, but I'm going to go Ruud. Hakac over TFO. Or Hakac or TFO even. Hakac has been a surprise package on the clay. I think he'll take quite a bit of confidence going into that. I'm not quite sure what to go with here because TFO is also a good player, but he doesn't seem to be able to last too long in the 2-week slams because he ends up having really long matches early on. So I'm going to go Hakac. I'm actually going to go Rune or Alex de Minaur. That's going to be a great match as well if we get that. I'm going to go Rune. Cause the upset. Quite hard in, aren't I? Tsitsipas versus Cerundolo. Tsitsipas. Rublev Benoit pair. I mean, forehand to forehand, he's going to get destroyed by Benoit pair, so I have to go Rublev. Basilashvili versus Yannick Sinner. Sinner. PCB versus Fucsovic. PCB. Kekmanovic and Medvedev. I'm actually going to Kekmanovic. You know that. I'm not going to go Medvedev. He's had a long time out. He's barely played any matches, and he's not a Djokovic or Nadal where he's played on clay so many years. He's made deep runs at Roland Garros. The first deep run he made was last year. I don't think he's going to go that far personally, but we'll see. What could be wrong? Djokovic, Dimitrov, Djokovic, Felix versus Rafael. Oh my god, it's a tough match. His run is horrendous, Nadal's, but I'm going to Nadal. What the hell? Zverev, Fritz Zverev, Norrie, Alcaraz. Alcaraz. Rude, Hakac. I'm going to go Rude. Rune, Tsitsipas, Sinner over Rublev. Kekmanovic over PCB. Quite hard, Kekmanovic, aren't I? These are our quarterfinals. Isn't that ridiculous that we're going to have Djokovic, Nadal, Zverev, and Alcaraz all in the top half and only Tsitsipas? This is ridiculous, man. I mean, what a stupid draw. As in, not stupid in the sense that, like, I mean, I'm assuming it's random, right? But if not, I don't know. Let's go Nadal over Djokovic. Alcaraz over Zverev. Tsitsipas over Ruud. Sinner over Kekmanovic. That's what I've got. Wait, Nadal over Djokovic. Did I just say that? Let's not. No, let's be honest. That's not going to happen. Let's be realistic. Let's be realistic for Zan. As much as I want to pick Nadal, I think Djokovic is going to be way too strong. He's in great form. He's peaked. Look, if it's the final of Roland Garros, I'll pick Nadal. Quarterfinal, semi-final, Djokovic at this stage because I just don't think Nadal is going to be. I mean, also the run to get there, he's going to be knackered. Oh my god! And even if his foot isn't horrendous, I mean, he's going to be worn. Djokovic is just playing really well. Djokovic, Alcaraz, semi. Tsitsipas, Sinner, semi. Tsitsipas to beat Sinner. Are we going to get a replay of Roland Garros 2021? That's the big question, isn't it? Will Alcaraz take the first step towards becoming someone at the top of the game? Someone at the top of tennis? This is such a tough one, I just don't know. Djokovic and Alcaraz, even though Djokovic, I think, is a favourite, but I just think Alcaraz, it really depends because if Djokovic gets Nadal in the quarterfinals. I personally think it's going to be a long match. I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be 4 sets at least. I don't think he'll do it in straight sets personally. I don't think he's going to be able to bagel him or like breadstick him. I think it's going to be relatively close. I think Djokovic will edge it though. Alcaraz has got an easier run in terms of not being able to play or having to play anyone in the top 10, I think, until this stage. Will he be fresher? I'm not sure because he's got some tough matches against Korda and Nori, etc. Zverev's a tough one as well, though, I guess. To be fair, I don't know. I'm going to go Djokovic. And then I'm going to go Djokovic to win it. That's my prediction. That is my prediction. Is that what you're doing for some Djokovic to win it? Yep, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. Djokovic to win Roland Garros 22. You heard it here first. And what a ridiculous prediction, eh? Not at all. And that's probably most people's prediction. Right, let's have a quick look then at the predicted quarterfinals before we wrap it up. So, let's look at Djokovic's first. This is actually from the Slice, by the way, so you can thank them for that. I don't think you can see at the bottom, so I'll just tell you. So round 1 is Nishioka, round 2 Molcan. This is their path to the final, by the way. So Nishioka, round 1 for Djokovic, round 2 Molcan, round 3 Cuevas, round 4 Schwartzman, quarterfinal Nadal, Felix Auger-Aliassime, semifinal Zverev Alcaraz, final Medvedev or Tsitsipas. That's, I guess, based on seedings mainly, I think, is what this is based on. And then we can look at Nadal's. So if we get that up as well. And Nadal's is a lot harder, I'm telling you that now. Nadal's got, Thompson in the first round, then Wawrinka, Fognini, Felix Auger-Aliassime or Opelka, Djokovic in the quarterfinals, Alcaraz/Zverev in the semifinals, and then Medvedev will Tsitsipas in the finals. So that's obviously, again, it's all just to do with seedings mainly, and whether he's even able to kind of get through, we'll see. But yeah, a lot of ifs and buts. And then Alcaraz, part of the final, he's got qualifier, then Kokkinakis in the second round, Harris or Millman in the third, Nori in the fourth, Zverev or Alejandro Davidovich Fokina in the quarterfinals, semifinals, Djokovic and Nadal, finals, Tsitsipas or Medvedev. So, I mean, that's just extremely tough for Alcaraz as well. It's not an easy draw whatsoever. And then I think actually Tsitsipas will be the happiest because even though he's got Musetti, which is a really hard first round, so Musetti in round 1, round 2 Pui, round 3 Evans, round 4 Shapovalov, although I picked Holger Rune, to be fair. Quarterfinal Ruud or Hurkacz, semi-final Medvedev or Rublev, and then final Djokovic, Alcaraz or Nadal. So that is, I mean, to be fair, up until the final, you expect him to win. Round 1 against Musetti, I actually think is harder than the majority of those. So yeah, that's all from me. Thanks very much, guys, for tuning in. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We will, of course, have the WTA draw preview and predictions coming out soon as well. On top of also our live chat with Gil Gross today at 6 p.m. UK time on Friday. So do check that out if you haven't done so already. If you're a podcast listener or watcher, do remember to leave a rating or review. Do like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Thank you very much, guys. Stay safe.